In this video with Guava, we are in a brand new place. We're outside of Petco, and this is in a kind of strip mall area with a really busy grocery store, lots and lots of traffic going by, lots of foot traffic, lots of car traffic, and we're just working on her default behaviors and getting her comfortable in a new space like this. So her default behaviors are eye contact, sit, and then lay down. And basically what that means is if I'm giving her no other information, the first thing she should do is look at me. If she continues to get no information, the next thing she should do is sit. And if she continues to get no information, the next thing she should do is lay down and put her chin down on the ground and settle. So in a situation like this, it's kind of up to her what she chooses to do, and all three of those things get reinforced. And that's because I want all of those things to be her go-to behavior. Now, in this particular case, I am actually waiting for her to lay all the way down. And that's because that is something that she's only going to do once she has took enough information about the environment and feels relatively comfortable. And I don't want to move forward and make things harder by going towards the traffic, going into the store until I know that she feels pretty comfortable. Now, this kind of pulling behavior, stuff like that, I just don't let her move forward. This is not something she usually does at all. This environment is a little bit overwhelming for her, which is why we're just staying in place, and I'm testing her ability to offer me that default down. Now, in the future, when we do work specifically on the behavior that she should exhibit when we are getting out of the car, I'll probably opt towards reinforcing either a sit and wait or a stand and wait as opposed to the down. So I will eventually turn this into you should get out of the car and then wait for me, so that if I am getting stuff out of the car, or her handler in the future getting stuff out of the car, getting ready to go somewhere, Guava will get out of the car and then kind of go stationary and wait for us to be ready to go. And functionally, for being in a busy parking lot, probably sitting or standing is going to be safer for her. But in this case, I've got her moved off to the side enough. I've got a good eye on traffic to move her if I need to. I'm just kind of using that can you lay down as a test. So right here is what I want to see, is that she offers me that down and then she maintains it for a little bit. Because I want to at least know that she can lay down even with traffic noises and people moving around and stuff like that. So I'm just reinforcing for duration for this down and seeing, does she pop up before I tell her it's time to go? And then when it's time to go, I just give her the okay and we start walking. And I do give her a little verbal cue there to call her back to me. Now, in the collar, she is off duty. So this is a training visit, but it is a little bit looser. I don't put her in the harness until I know that she's going to be really successful. So this is a little bit looser. I'm giving her a little bit more freedom. My expectations are pretty lax. I'm just taking what I can get, but she's still not allowed to pull. So I still am not going to move forward if she's pulling. And again, this is not something that she typically does. So it's just telling me she's a little bit overly excited about being here. I don't see a ton of nervousness as in fear in her body language. I see a little bit of apprehension, but really just, oh, this is a new place. There's lots of things going on. And of course, she would rather be able to explore freely and move around, but I do have a certain level of expectation for her that she does not pull on the leash. And then I am just using heavy reinforcement to try and get some of those behaviors I do like, that eye contact, that walking next to me, that sit, that automatic down when we're standing around for a little bit. And basically, whenever I move to a new kind of area, I hang out and I wait for her to offer me that down. Now we have a really lovely look and dismiss there. So she did struggle with it a little bit, but she did not break her position, which is so good for a puppy her age. And so I do reinforce that. And I let her sniff after that person. So she can sniff all she wants. And then I go in and reinforce her for staying in that sit. She does get up. Again, she's got this nice, that's why I use the really wide martingale, is because when she is off duty, I don't want it to be super uncomfortable for her to pull, but I like the martingale as opposed to the harness in these situations because I am able to really hold my ground. So if she does hit the end of the leash, she's not able to then move me forward. That way I can wait for her to kind of realize she's not getting anywhere and then check back in with me, and then I can heavily reinforce that. So again, we're back to just reinforcing that eye contact with me and just hanging out in this spot until she's offering that down. Again, that's a really good indicator to me that she is ready to move forward when she offers that settle and she lays down, she puts her chin on the ground. That tells me she's pretty comfortable. She is getting used to the environment, and she's probably going to be able to be successful if I start moving. I did go ahead and cut out about a minute of us just doing the same thing. And then these people come out. You'll see I just stop her with the leash. I do take the tension off of it, right? So as she's standing there, I move my arm forward just like half an inch so that there is no tension on that leash. So it stops her and then loosens. And then I just wait for her to come back to me. And again, going back into same thing, just reinforcing that eye contact for a minute or so. And then here we are reinforcing the sit just intermittently. I am lengthening out how long between treats, and she offers that default down. And that chin on the ground is a behavior that I've trained. So I have trained her when she goes down to put her chin on the ground and relax. I found that when I train my down that way, where it's not necessarily, it's a criteria and you don't get reinforced unless you do that, but I do specifically reinforce the chin down on the ground, my down stay behavior just becomes a lot more solid and they relax a lot more quickly because they're kind of throwing that out there and putting their chin on the ground, which gets them a little bit closer to actually falling asleep, which is the end goal for her if she's somewhere for a long period of time. And then, of course, after she offers that to me for a little bit, we go ahead and we start walking towards the door. So once I felt pretty good about how she's doing outside, I started to work towards going inside of the store. And one thing that we're working on here is I don't want her darting out in front of me into the store as soon as those automatic doors open. So all I'm doing is I walk up, and the second that the doors open, I say yes and then bring a treat out. So I'm actually marking the doors opening, which gives her this kind of anticipation that when the doors open, she's going to get a treat from me. And I'm delivering that treat by then moving away. So that's just kind of building in this automatic response. And what I'm looking for is when the doors open, she automatically turns and looks at me. So I wait until she is sitting and looking at me so that I know that I've got her focus. I reinforce that a couple of times. And then I actually notice that somebody is coming. So I ask her to lay down. She looks around a little bit apprehensive. So I still know that she's not like 100% comfortable, but she is getting there. And then these people come out and she does so good. They were talking to her and she did not even think about getting up. And then here in a second, we go ahead and get up and try again. So I wait until she is settling and then I tell her, okay, we walk up, the doors open. I say yes. She turns and orients back to me. I treat her. And what I'm waiting for before we actually walk into the store is for her to not eat the treat and then go past me and go into the doors. So I will use that big jackpot reward of we get to go into the store and she gets to go and sniff. And we ended the training session for the moment, took a break, and she got to just sniff through the store with me following behind her. And we did while we were waiting, and I was just reinforcing some eye contact. Somebody else pulled up and was about to pull in. So again, I asked her to go into that settle long downstay, and we wait for that person to get out of their car and come into the store. And I am at this point challenging Guava a little bit. So I actually am watching that person walk towards her, and I'm waiting either until I have to intervene because it looks like she's about to get up, or until that person has passed by to reinforce her. So in the past, usually I reinforce when the person appears and I reinforce with a scatter to keep her there. But now I think she can handle it, and she does beautifully here. So now at this point, we're getting a little bit more advanced and I'm waiting to reinforce her until the people have passed. So she actually has to hold that downstay, that long settle, as the person walks past her, rather than getting rewarded with something that is going to bridge her through the people walking past, like I have done in previous sessions where I'll drop a handful of food so that she's eating as that person passes her. So here we have us approaching the doors again, and this time I decide to use rapid fire treats to keep her with me. And she does think about going, but then when I redirect her verbally, she comes and stays with me. And so I go ahead, we take that. I let her into the store. She did get a little spooked by the second doors. I think just she had her head down right next to it. And then we walk into the store and I'm just letting her walk around and sniff. And you'll see kind of how, just a short clip here of how I handle that leash. I make sure that I keep it nice and loose the entire time. I just try and keep up with her pace, and I allow her to just walk around and sniff. And then if she does decide to kind of come back into me, I reinforce that. When she chooses to, I give her one treat, and then I actually tell her to go back and sniff again, because that's kind of what we're doing here. She does knock something off the shelf and works to retrieve it for me. This is something we definitely need to put under stimulus control, and it is definitely why I keep a little bit of a tighter hold on her if we are in non-pet stores. But for now, I don't want to ruin that enthusiasm, so I just reward her for bringing it to me.